But again, it's survival of the fittest. Now, they don't say sensitivity equals poverty, but you could see on the bottom, if it was there, sensitivity equals poverty. You saw the third installment of the people that crushed America, built America. Who was it last night? JP, who bought Andrew. Did they show the scene where they slid him a piece of paper with the 400?
No, we haven't come that far.
Oh, we haven't come that far. And
now we are in the General Electric was far. AC/DC, Tesla, Edison.
And of course, legend has it, Morgan would have paid a lot more than $451 million. Or whatever the number was, but Carnegie accepted the offer. And it's interesting, of the banks that were around then that still have the same name, at least U.S. banks, J.P. Morgan is, I guess, one of the only ones, because they've all been consolidated. Banking was one of the great first roll-ups, just as I think the second one was the steel industry and the railroads and retail. So what, if anything, was different about the movie? Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because, your point is that one of the things that I think it was Julius Morgan said to his son is that the players change, but the game's always the same.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, I had forgotten that line, yeah. In the almost 50 years that I've been doing this, a lot of different players, but it's still the same dog eat dog. And again, even dating back to when I started, there were very, very few alpha males. Arguably, there's less alpha males now than there was when I started 50 years ago, because they've been bred out. Is that the right word? Bred? Yeah, bred out, because it's less popular to be an alpha male than it was almost 50 years when I started. When I started, where you saw a lot of alpha guys was in the military, and that's been bred out too. What else about Julius? Yes, sir.
Classic QLA model. Target distressed businesses, buy them, roll them up, fix them up, sell them high.
Puff them up like a show dog. Yep.
Even when he was getting beaten in the electrical wars, he found a way to win by buying them out. He bought out, Westinghouse, or he fought them, used litigation as a business tool to scare Westinghouse. They bought everything, changed the name, consolidated, and he ended up owning the same thing.
Another teaching point, they find a way. The guys always find a way. Never, or no, or failure is never an option. They always find a way. And the best of them find more. And they always find a way. I hadn't really thought about that till I just mentioned it, but there's less alpha males now than there was when I started. Maybe that's why they say that I'm the last of the Neanderthals, because I wasn't that much of an anomaly, maybe 40 years ago, but now I certainly am. Anything else about?
J.P. Morgan, he evolved after his father's death, actually. He was always creative, but he was always under his father's shadow. And in a sense, he was quite a weenie. Then, as luck would have it, right at the most important point in his career, his father died, which gave him access to all the funds. Because if his father was alive, his father would have yanked him out of the electricity room, because Edison was screwing up big time. When the electric chair goes against them, and they use the AC to burn that guy in the electric chair.
Another teaching point, screwing up big time, but they keep rolling. They just keep rolling, because the only time you can move forward, like in the turtle shell analogy, is when you stick your neck out and you stick your legs out. I mean, they really invented the terminology, fail fast, fail forward. And now it's, it's quite different. And of course, they didn't have they still had something, they didn't call it personal development back in those days, but they didn't have all the gurus running around like we've got now, none of which have got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. But as an aside, Napoleon Hill died broke. Napoleon Hill went bankrupt, I believe, twice. Napoleon Hill, on a personal note, I mean, he left his son when his son was born with no ears. He abandoned his son, and
contrary to what they say in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And What else? Yes, Doc.
Organization concept, they kind of created the term organization and coming in.
Oh, Morganization. Yeah.
And that's
slashing
pure,
costs and slashing throats.
pure QLA model. The
Yeah.
organization thing was.
No, I like you hearing you say all this. I don't need the validation, but because I know it's true. But and that's why 25 years ago and 20 years ago, I thought I had 5 years before, all the guys are going to be copying me. Here we are 25 and a half years later, and they're still not copying. Because the validity of what you've heard here and what differentiates the hardcore from the regular seminar is, other than working with big numbers in a lot of these cases, is you see whether it's a 500,000 deal or a $5 billion deal, it's the same problem. And when you get that mindset and you understand that it's just a matter of some zeros, and that, as we said yesterday as we closed up, they would rather have a bunch of zeros at the end of the deal because it's the same paperwork and it's more fees. I mean, it never becomes easy, but it sure as hell becomes a heck of a lot easier. Anything else about...
His father was playing not to lose while he was playing to win, and when his father wasn't in the way, he, tripled the wealth or something, just dwarfed whatever his father built.
Most of the wealth here in Britain was built on slavery, which everybody tries to forget, and then in lumber. But the family's wealth as a percentage of GDP for Britain was bigger then than it is now, because they have not expanded other than by some organic growth. There's only been 20 or 30 or 40 shakers and movers that have taken that wealth that was built back in the Industrial Revolution and expanded it. And that's why, to a great extent, the Brits admire the Americans for the never say die attitude, because they were the colonies, and 200 plus years ago that broke away, and now they're significantly bigger than Britain. Now, Britain ruled 2/3 of the world from this little island with something called gunboat diplomacy. Gunboat diplomacy. You got it, I want it, I take it. That's it. That was their model. You got it, I want it, I take it. And a number of the European countries, France did the same thing, Portugal did the same thing, Spain, pardon?
Holland.
Holland did the same thing. You got it, I want it, I take it. And now we've gone all the way to the other end of the continuum. Oh, you got it, you can keep it, I'll help you keep it.
Here's some of mine.
Yeah, exactly. And, yeah, exactly, Doc. And here's some of mine. And but watching those old, they're not old, but I mean watching what happened 100, 150 years ago and how they used the QLA model. I personally like the British model. You got it, I want it, I take it. 100 years before that, with the gunboats. And Britain, because they ruled the seas at the time, were able to do it. And instead of tariffs like Trump's doing, they did, they did blockade. So you couldn't get anything in. And they ultimately starved you to death. And
piracy.
Correct.
Take the stuff at sea.
Yeah.
With a license.
It was the good old days. I keep saying the good old days. I was born too late. Anything else?
Well, the QLA model, it didn't really matter who won. To Morgan, he was just going to buy whichever one won.
And it was very much survival of the fittest. And now, it's not survival of the weakest, but it's certainly not survival of the fittest. Now we have subsidies and we have all these things to equal the playing field. And I'm recommending for some of you, or not for some of you, but where it's applicable, to take advantage of those additional subsidies.
And also Rockefeller, when the competition was getting high, he decided that gasoline, which was a byproduct at the time, that they were just throwing down the river.
Yeah.
It should be used for compressor engine fuel.
And again, the first car, well, I don't think it showed in this film you saw, but I mentioned it before. The first cars on the planet were electric cars. And then 8, 10, 12 years later, petroleum, combustible engines were invented. And so if we wanted electric cars, I mean, we could have been developing, instead of the last 15 years, because Elon Musk stuck his foot up the ass of the automobile industry, we could have developed some really, tremendous automobiles based on electricity. But again, it's survival of the fittest. Now, they don't say sensitivity equals poverty, but you could see on the bottom, if it was there, sensitivity equals poverty vis-a-vis all these magnets, these guys, it just makes sense. There's no sensitivity in any shape, manner, or form of any of these guys. Now, what they don't say, but you can conjecture yourself, do they give a shit about anybody but themselves? No. And I'm going to just say this generically. And you care. Did they care what anybody said about them? No. If a newspaper said something bad, they bought the fucking newspaper. He sacked everybody. That's not in that film, but that's what happened. Did they care what anybody thought about them? No. And you can just go item by item from then till now. And if you even go back further till the Hunt and Genghis Khan, those guys, they thought even less. And here we have, yeah.
Actually, as it was ending, there was this pundit, some kind of presidential hopeful, who was saying a lot of bad things about them, and right at the end, they were actually in a room together, getting ready to say, we're going to buy the president. So,
well, in those days, if you didn't have those guys behind you, you didn't become president. Now, a lot of people would argue it's not much different now. In capitalism, work. And this one man's opinion, PLA is the epitome of capitalism. And to me, capitalism is OPM. Other people's money and other people. The two biggest levers you're going to have in life: other people and other people's money. And and all the big hedge fund guys, Carl Icahn, Peltz, etc., Elliott, they're using hedge fund money they raise from other people, and then they take a profit off the top using their money. It's not their personal money. They are using somebody else's money. All these hedge funds. Now, some of the funds do have partners' money. But the old days of merchant banks meaning they put their money at risk, is gone. It's gone. And it's been gone, for a couple of generations. But it's really good to watch. Now, when I was looking at the comments from the YouTube, either the YouTube people don't realize that the market collapsed because they're so poor, nobody's got any money in them. I mean, not one comment. I was on with Winnica, and Winnica said, nobody knows. So that shows you the economic strata if they don't know, because the people that got hurt the most were the people that had the most money in the market, and the people that had the most money in the market are the people that have the most money. And anything else about the movie? Now, we didn't do this before. I just want you to say, my name is Jeremy. I'm from Pismo Beach, California, and I'm 38 years old. And just go around, because I got some questions, which I normally do the first day. Just if you do that for me, please.
Yeah, Jeremy, California, 32.
39 from South Africa, Johannesburg.
John Robinson, Scottsdale, Arizona, USA, 46.
Dave Dutta, Singapore, 55.
Jesus Christ. They went 55. Okay.
Paul Marcus, Oscar, 35.
I'm Sebastian from Copenhagen. I'm 30.
James, Pennsylvania, 26.
Peter from Toronto, Canada, 24. Jake, United States, 42.
Ross, 30 from Johannesburg. Nicholas from London, 30.
Alec, USA,
Connor, 29, Ireland.
Arrived London, 17.
Dasher, 37, Utah.
Christoph, London, 23.
Tom, Washington, D.C., 38.
So we're from 37 to 54. Oh, no, excuse me, 17 to 54, right? That's 40 years. No, 37.
37 years.
Fuck. And we got just about everybody in between. And it works. Now, there's a couple of big cases. John's going to do one, not on YouTube, that he's been working on quite a long time. Disclosure, I'm his chairman. We've been working on it quite a long time. And there's a couple other cases, but primarily from lunchtime on, we are going to be doing EJ is going to bring up all the those webinars that you asked me about, and he reminded me again when the mentor program is completed, assuming people don't get thrown out, they have full access to all the webinars, even the ones that apparently you can't find. Okay, so first thing he's going to show you how to find them. Okay, then we're going to go through the ones that you are especially interested in, and we'll go through them. Okay. But I always thought that all these guys were real computer savvy, EJ, but maybe they're not much more computer savvy than I am. And then we will go through Q&A, specific things, in addition to things that directly relate to the deals that you're working on right now, and to make sure that by the time tomorrow evening comes around, there's no questions that didn't get answered. Okay? Okay. YouTube, that's it for now.